This may or may not be surprising, but I consider myself a huge fan of classic rock anthems. Hardcore rock and roll. Combined with my love of indie-developed games and the fact that I have a Spotify playlist devoted exclusively to video game music, I'm sure no one is surprised that the Artful Escape, a game described by its developer as if David Bowie traveled off from London on an interstellar trip to create Ziggy Stardust, resonated with me in more ways than one. And I'm not just saying that because Apollo, Creed, and Cersei Lannister lend their voices to the cast. No, this game genuinely garnered an emotional response from me. Maybe it just hit me at the right time. Or maybe, just maybe, it's that good. Francis Vendetti is undergoing an identity crisis. This teenage guitar prodigy's deceased uncle left behind quite a legacy, and the expectations placed on his nephew, specifically his unique style of folk music, are clashing with Francis's true passion. A perfect introduction, one that literally gave me chills. The developer's passion is there, the visuals, the game's art style combined with fluid camera movement. It's engineered for moments like these. Makes sense too. The head developer toured for nearly 10 years as the lead guitarist for his own band. But prior to that, he studied film and computer animation in college. There's a great article on Polygon detailing his journey if you're interested in learning more. I'll leave that link in the description. What follows is a trip through the cosmos, as Vendetti is asked to serve as the opening act for an intergalactic performance headed by the one and only Apollo Creed, known here as Lightman.
We're going on a ride across the dilated pupils of the cosmos. Sounds like a damn monster movie.
The cliches are pretty strong here. The whole who I should be versus who I'm meant to be angle is thrown your way at a pretty even pace.
I'm dabbling with the idea of becoming someone else entirely.
But surprisingly enough, the story itself is largely background noise, an excuse to throw the player into these insane, visually rich alien landscapes with nothing but a double jump and an electric guitar that illuminates each area's personality even further. Now from a gameplay perspective, it's as simple as it gets. Light platforming, some occasional Simon Says-inspired sections, there's honestly not much to it. But that's sort of the point. Where games like Gone Home or What Remains of Edith Finch use the environment to tell a story, The Artful Escape uses its landscapes as a light show. It utilizes its visual style, its soundtrack, to create these larger-than-life experiences that really stick with you, without having you worry whether or not you've got the technical know-how to clear that upcoming gap. The presentation is what sells it, but the cast of characters certainly have their moments to shine. The early portions of the script leaned a bit too heavily on those narrator tropes, where the characters have to audibly guide the player through exposition instead of letting the environment tell the story.
The Johnson Vendetti Festival ends tomorrow night. The finale is at the Salty Seagull, where Johnson Vendetti's nephew will take the stage for the first time. That's me.
But it eventually evens out. Not the best script I've ever seen, but serviceable to say the least, anchored by fantastic performances from pretty much everyone involved. Criticisms were few and far between, but I will say that the pacing falters every now and then. It's a short game with essentially one gimmick, so it did wear me down a bit after an extended play session. It also leans heavily into its rock opera style with a huge emphasis on guitar solos and some pretty intense riffs. And if God forbid that's not your thing, you can take a pass. One more point to bring up, I actually had access to the Artful Escape through Xbox Game Pass, so it's hard for me to judge this game accurately based on its current asking price of $20. To me, that's a bit steep. As mentioned, the experience, while memorable and well produced, is pretty short, so it might be in your best interest to wait for a discount. Around $10 feels about right. But what's here exudes the developer's passion so clearly. Amid the first-person shooters and open-world RPGs, The Artful Escape was just that. It lived up to its title, and then some, at least from my perspective. The simplicity of it all may be a turnoff for some players, and its gimmick can wear a bit thin, but when it comes down to it, what's here is just an incredible audio-visual assault on the senses. A game that you feel more than you play.